Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back. So today I have a video for you for all of you guys out there who are just starting to collect and tie together your makeup starter kit. For someone who would just start out with maybe having one mascara or maybe like a lipstick or something, it can be a little bit tricky to find the right products, textures, colors for your skin tone. As someone that is very pale, as you can see, I have a very fair skin tone going on. It can be a real struggle. So I created this makeup look that I think fits almost or pretty much every occasion, an everyday look that for all of you guys who are very pale can recreate. So if you guys are interested and like what you see, keep on watching. With my skin already cleansed and moisturized, I think I'm just going to go ahead and start to even out my complexion. As you can probably see, I have a couple of blemishes going on, a little bit of redness in my skin that I would like to even out and cover up. So for that instance, I would always personally go for a concealer. Now the reason for that is a concealer gives you kind of a little bit of a control system. Of course, you're not going to get a lot of product in the first place, but with the handy stopper in the concealer and the doe foot applicator, you just have the chance to spot conceal. Therefore, you don't tend to over apply and over cover your entire face. That is just my personal philosophy. So I would always go for more like a creamy, medium to full coverage concealer, because the great thing with these kind of formulas is that you can sheer them out or just go ahead and cover everything, so you do have the option. So I'm going to start and cover kind of the darkest place in my face, which are definitely my under eye circles, and the other areas are definitely the ones where I have a little bit of redness going on, as well as like older spots. The area around the nose is a very popular one to cover up as well, because it tends to be very red in most people. So I'm just going to dab it on top of the areas that I like to cover. And the next thing would be to use either a brush, which you can definitely do, it's really dependent on your budget, or you can of course use your fingers always. Fingers generally are just the best tools. You don't necessarily have to invest into brushes unless you really want to, of course, but I personally am a huge fan of using my fingers for right about everything, for eyeshadows, blushes, not just base products. There are so many products that you can blend in with the ease of your fingers and almost like a better and more natural finish sometimes too. Also, I think when it comes to base products, less is more always. I think especially for daytime looks, the light can be really harsh and very revealing about your skin and all of your imperfections. So I think using very light layers and then building coverage where you need it is key for a more like natural and let's say more flattering look for daytime. Alright, so the next step for me would be to fill in my brows. I'm going to use the L'Oreal Super Liner Brow Artist, and I really like this pencil because it's one of the very few ones from the drugstore that don't pull too warm or they don't look red. This is a very ashy blonde toned color. I have this one in the shade number 2 blonde, so I'm just going to use that with very light strokes and just fill in the sparse areas that needed some filling in. Also in the areas that I want to fill them in, again, it's down to your own preference. Brows are finished, moving on to the actual eye look. I could not hold myself back and not mention the infamous Maybelline color tattoos that I have in various colors. I love them. I'm a very lazy person and I like to use products that just work very fast, that I don't have to fuzz around with or use a ton of brushes, which at the same time makes these products perfect for a starter kit because these are not only very affordable, but as I just mentioned, you don't have to fuzz around with them. You can use your fingers again and then just apply the color onto your lid, blend it out with your finger again, and you are good to go. And that is what I'm going to do now. Okay, so I just like to apply the color with my ring finger all over the lid up to my crease. And just really just go back and forth and use a clean finger and blend out the color out so that it doesn't look too harsh. However, if you're someone that just wants to use brushes or you have to, I can very highly recommend the Real Techniques brush line. It is perfect because not only is it very affordable for the high quality that it is, they're very sturdy too. I washed them a million times. They don't shed or anything. And I love them. The great thing with these Maybelline color tattoos, I find, is that they don't ever look patchy no matter how many different layers you use on top of each other. They don't look too much. They just perfectly blend into the structure of your eyelids. Now, the next step is totally optional. You do not have to do this at all. However, I personally like to highlight my brow bone as well as open up my eyes with this highlighting pencil on the lower waterline. This is the Catrice eyebrow lifter, which is like a almost white pencil, but this one has a very light tint of a very sheer pink tone. With this one, you can very subtly, but at the same time very effectively highlight your brow bone, basically your entire face, because this particular color just suits my complexion perfectly. It's not too light. The next step for me would be to curl my lashes, and this step is definitely not optional nor negotiable at all. I personally think that curling your lashes makes the biggest difference in any kind of makeup look because it opens your eyes so much more and makes your lashes look fluttery and just perceivable and more dramatic. And therefore, I always have to curl my lashes no matter what makeup look I'm going for. Unfortunately, this lash curler is not from the drugstore, but of course you can go for one from the drugstore. They are very affordable too if you don't want to splurge on a Shu Uemura lash curler. However, if you are intending to, then I can highly recommend them. The mascara that I have chosen for this look today is the Bourjois Volume 1 Second Mascara in Waterproof. All I'm using mascara-wise are waterproof mascaras because they hold up better in just holding my lashes up when I curl them. They tend to fall down with most non-waterproof mascaras, and that is why I like this one in particular. The next step that I would go for is to use just a little bit of blush. Now, blush for me personally is a pretty substantial makeup product, to be honest. I personally feel like blush changes everything about my facial shape, how much more alive and healthy I look, and I automatically feel better when I apply just a little bit of blush. And as I'm a huge fan of cream products in general, I'm going to use a cream blush today. This is one of my firm favorites, and I've been using this one for a long time. It's the Revlon Cream Blush in number 9 Rosy Glow. A beautiful, neutral, rosy. It's not too bright. You can use it every single day for any sort of occasion. I love the texture of this one. It's more like a cream to powder. It just looks very, very flattering on the cheek. The other two options are both by NYX, and I feel like these cream blushes don't get the exposure that they deserve because the quality, the color selection, how very pigmented they are is insane, and I love to use these ones. I'm going to go for a little bit of a more, let's say, fun blush, which this one is in orange, and as you can see, it's definitely a pop of color. So I like to just dab it onto the apples of my cheeks. To blend the blush out, I like to use the Real Techniques blush brush. It's one of my favorite brushes, to be honest. I use it all the time. So I just like to tap the color into the skin rather than just going back and forth, and therefore distributing the color way too outside of the cheek apple region. So I like to just keep it in this area right here. I'd say that the next step is a rather optional too. At least it can be, but it's very down to your own skin type. I have extremely dry skin, therefore I don't gravitate, or at least I don't naturally gravitate towards powdery products. However, seeing that I have a little bit too much of a glow going on for, let's say, my personal taste, I just like to powder my face. So the product I'm going to powder my face with is one of my all-time favorite powders, because this one just doesn't seem to emphasize patchiness or dryness. It's one of the very nice powders in the drugstore, and I can highly recommend this. And I think when it comes to powders too, don't overuse them, because having a little bit of like glow and shine going on always looks more flattering, more like alive, I think. Having too matte of a skin can look artificial too. Alright, now that my makeup is pretty much done, the only area that is missing out are my lips, and I'm definitely going to change that right away. And I have a couple of options here that are just nude everyday lipsticks. These are definitely firm favorites of mine. And I'm going to start with my all-time favorite drugstore nude. This is the L'Oreal Color Riche lipstick in JLo's Nude, the perfect nude everyday color. I've been using this ever since they came out with this color, and it's just gorgeous. Number 2 is a fairly new discovery for me, a limited edition color, so grab it while you can. It's a very beautiful nude in the shade 725 Simply Nude. And this one is just a little bit lighter than JLo's Nude. However, it's still a very appropriate color for my very fair skin. It doesn't pull like too deadly nude. It has a nice pinky undertone to it, and I love it. And lastly, I have another gorgeous color from the drugstore, which is the Essence No. 7 Natural Beauty lipstick. I just love the entire black Essence lipstick line so much, because I think the formulation of these is so much more superior than what you pay for. These are quite literally cheap as chips, and the color selection is great. Today I'm just going to go for my favorite nude just because it's perfect, and I think it really nicely ties in the entire look. So I'm just going to apply that. So this is the finished makeup look. I hope you guys liked it. I would love to know some of your guys' favorite drugstore products. Anything that you think is holy grail, totally worth checking out. I'm on it. I'm always looking forward to more budget-friendly products, so please leave your suggestions down below. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel to get more content, because that would totally rock my socks off and make my day. And don't forget to check out my social media. Everything is linked down below as always, as well as right here. And I wish you guys a fantastic day. Until we meet again.